No music on this one. Um, I want to get through what we got as soon as possible. So, God, I want to thank you once again for allowing us to see another day. Thank you for getting us through yesterday. Thank you for having exactly what we need for us today in today. I ask that you continue to open our eyes, our ears, um, both physically and spiritually, to see what it is that you have for us. Um, I know I'm repeating myself, but I thank you once again for giving us exactly what it is we need for the day, our daily bread, essentially. Thank you for everything that you do behind the scenes. Thank you for everything that you do that you don't get credit for. Thank you for everything you do that we forget, the things that we take for granted. Thank you for even having a heart like to even think about us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. We're gonna start. Yeah, we're gonna get right into it. Nope. Okay. Anyway, no intro today. I want to get right into this because it's kind of like a dual purpose video. Um, welcome in everybody. You know, all that good stuff. I apologize. My mind's kind of going, and like I said, this is a dual purpose video. We are titling this the Relic. So it's kind of a Tiger Talk, but it's also an introduction to some things that are coming to the channel. Um, and what I want to say also is I want to give this disclaimer in the very beginning. This in no way affects what we already have going on. So I don't want you to think that, Road to SWAT keeps getting pushed back or blah 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 blah. This series or that, you got the arc thing. You could everything is in its rightful place. This is just something that I have been this is something that has been drawing at me, and we're gonna get to that. So just want to give that disclaimer. um, I don't want to talk fast, but like I said, I want to get right into it. I was what well, let me tell you what sparked this. Um, January 11th, the Sunday before my birthday, I went to see Avatar Fire and Ash, the new James Cameron Avatar with the Navi and everything. I went to go see it. Loved it, knew I was going to. Um, and I came back, put it in Discord that I went to see it. And our very own Ramsey said that he said I when I said I just came back from seeing Avatar Fire and Ash, worth it. And then he said I've seen so many mixed reviews, glad you enjoyed it. Glad you enjoyed it though. And I responded to him saying the series for me is more of a spiritual connection to the story than anything. So I get something different from it. Saw it in 3D, waiting for the trilogy pack to come out on Blu-ray since this was the third movie. What is my point? Um, this movie, because I was talking, because my mom actually treated me to the movie for my birthday, and this movie. Let me put this here. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Um, this movie is it basically it had me thinking because I started to talk to my mom about it. Started to talk to my stepdad about it as to why I enjoyed the movie. And I was talking to them, and what came out of the conversation was that I was starting to pick up on things that I was interested in or things that was catching my attention. So, for example, I don't know how many people have seen this movie. It's from 2015, I believe. It's called Last Nights. Um, Great movie. Not going to spoil anything. Also another movie that we actually both of these we have the DVD and we've watched recently. Um, the other sorry, the other one is King Arthur and the Legend of the Sword. Now, the two movies that I mentioned, along with Avatar, they all have a common underlying theme for me. Like I said, this is me in terms of what I got out of it. They all have, they all represent in its own way, they all have honor attached to the storyline. Um, there's a code that that they operate in. The last nights, again, not going to spoil anything, but it was a group of knights essentially. They had a code. It was like, like I said, it was a group of them. They had a code. When we talk about, James Cameron's Avatar, they have a culture, and I was telling Queen, I was telling my stepdad, and I was like, what's so beautiful about the way that they've done the storytelling behind the Avatar movies, even the game as well, it follows the same exact, like, it mirrors it. They're not just taking you to somewhere in the United States or somewhere on Earth. They're taking you and introducing you to an entirely new world that has its own set of plants, creatures, enemies, and culture. Um, so that is what is drawing me to say that things that have honor in them, things that have a code in them, like not a code of ethics, if you want to put it that way, but more so a code of conduct. There's certain ways. There's like, I guess you can kind of call it traditions, but more so culture. Traditions kind of gets a bad rap, so that's why I'm more so sticking to culture. Um, those are the things that have been drawing me in. Um, so I updated my I'm not gonna read it here because they're long. You want to look at it, you can look at it. I updated uh my Twitch page to have like two separate, it's nothing fancy. I promise you it's nothing fancy. It's a tiger on each side, with a title, and I just wrote some things down. One side is kind of like my bio, the other one is like how I came into streaming in a sense. The other one is like, talking about the different, why I'm streaming in a sense. Um and in one of those messages, I basically said that I felt out of place. And you guys, well, check out the Tiger Talks if you're interested in what it is that I'm talking about. But after something happened to me, I essentially went into a spiritual cave, a spiritual, mental, and emotional cave. Physically, I still had to operate. I still had to go to work. I actually lived in this house, in this very room. Um, but I went through about a 6 or 7 year period where everything around me got shut down. Like I shut like it wasn't intentional by me, it was more of a God thing. I was basically put in a cave. And in a cave there's there's no access to the outside world except through the entrance and slash exit. And the person who was guarding that entrance slash exit was God, because he put me in there. He put me in there and then he stood guard. That's grateful for that. Thank you, Jesus. Um, like he was watching what came in and came out. It was that's deeper than we're trying to go right now. But for y'all who catch it, you catch it. Now, while I was in that cave, still in that cave, he called me to stream. I'm not going to take you through the whole thing, but again, I want to make a point. As I'm streaming today, and as I've gotten like into streaming, I've had different phases of it, like I said in the bios and stuff. Right now, tying back to those movies, I feel as I connect with those movies because I have an honor, because I have an honor. I have honor, and I have a code, is what I was trying to say. I have a code. I have a way of doing things that most people don't. For one, I'm not a liar. It's everywhere at this point, even on Discord. You may not like what I have to say to you all the time, but I can't promise you that you'll like what I have to say to you every time. I can only promise you that I'll never lie to you. That is what I stand by. That is my mission statement, if you will. As it stands today, how long is this? I don't want this. Okay, it's only 11 minutes. Okay. As it stands today, I very much feel, not saying it's accurate, just saying this is the way I feel. I feel out of place. And the only way I can describe it is I feel like a relic. Now, what I know, just what I knew a relic to be was like, to me it was like an ancient artifact. I enjoyed watching like National Treasure, another good movie. Laura Croft, like, searching for like artifacts and ancient tombs and stuff like that. What I knew a relic to be was just something that was like not necessarily vintage per se, but it was something that was pretty old. um the definition of a relic, I looked it up on Google. I literally just typed this in before I started stream. A relic, from the Oxford Language Dictionary, I guess, an object surviving from an earlier time, especially one of historical or sentimental interest. So it could be considered an artifact, but I'm going to read it again. The definition of a relic is an object surviving from an earlier time, especially one of historical or sentimental interest. Um, Not sure how much of everything I want to get into. Um, but the reason I wanted to talk about this is because, because if you're watching me, you're more than likely in the gaming community, or at least been around it. For games like For Honor, that's the big ones. For Honor, even Assassin's Creed, taking it back to classic Rise, Son of Rome, um, Shadow of Mordor. What do those have in common? It's the same thing in terms of what I was talking to you about in reference to the movies. It's taking people who fight with, like, swords, axes, things of that nature. Now, I see me as that. Okay? I see me as that. Like, I enjoy that time period, that culture of the swords, the bows and arrows, even the throwing knives, the axes, the long swords, the broadswords, the katanas, dueling, you know what I mean? Dueling swords, even learning how to do that. Now, take somebody who's a master at that. Well, let me back it up. Take somebody who's really good at that. I'm not gonna even proclaim that I'm a master at that. Take somebody who's really like into that culture. Pick them up and sit them in the middle of Call of Duty Modern Warfare Warzone, right in the middle of the map. That is how I feel. Now I'm gonna right or wrong. My words go before you in the presence of God. Now, being in the middle of that war zone map, take somebody who has a, maybe it's a level of mastery, but a deep passion or respect for, well, that's going the other way. Anyway, you take them and you drop them in the middle of the war zone map. Somebody who has a mastery in, let's say, the swords or whatever, just that kind of thing. Now take them and put them around everybody who's using guns. It's not a very effective fight. It doesn't take a genius to use a gun. It doesn't even take somebody who's educated to use a gun. I remember Akon, an R&B artist, he said even a child could take a life by pulling the trigger. You hear those stories. My point is, I've identified what it was about me that is like I even told my parents and I told you guys, I'm watching there's a playlist here, videos from 8+ years old. I told my stepdad, I mean, because he's co-pastor of the church. I'm a preacher's kid. Yeah, everybody knows I'm a Christian. My mom, God led my mom to start a church, so she has church every Sunday, all of that stuff. And I told my stepdad, I said, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I listen to gospel all day long. I don't. I'm not gonna sit here and I'm not gonna lie to anybody. Even in that, I'm still not listening to most of what people are putting out today in terms of music. um, my point is pointing back to I am what I'm about to do. The reason for this video is probably like 15, 17. It's getting too long. The reason for this video, and this is going to be, like I said, it's a Tiger Talk and an intro to a new series, is I am going to start a series to honor the honor that's in me. I am going to properly, um, I'm just gonna trying to put it into words and stuff. This is something I want to do. This is a passion project of mine. Um, the way that I think, the way that I process, very much had to do with me being in that cave. And something I had in my notes, I didn't know if I wanted to mention it because I didn't want to mix things. Because of what I went through in that cave, and this is my last point, and we're going to go into what we got for the rest of the stream. Because of what happened to me in that cave, I find myself in a teacher's position more often than not. In that, I'm still human, and I'm not sitting here like, oh, I came out unscathed or something. There were some marks. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. There were some marks. There's still a humility and humbleness that I still have to make sure I tap into, even though in secret he elevated me in a lot of ways. And what I mean by that is I had to watch myself because I caught myself several times and I had to like define it. I caught myself several times. Well, for one, let's back up one step. When I say things from where I came from that cave, when I say things from that process, that when that like there's a different weight that you get when you go through certain things. So when you talk, your words carry a certain weight. They carry a certain truth to them, right? So when I talk from that weight, most of what I say goes over people's heads. Either it goes over their head or they completely ignore it, like I didn't even say it, like they don't hear me. Now, in still being in that teacher slash helper, not necessarily like you're going around trying to teach people. It's just in conversation, you're helping people, giving them a way. I'm giving them a different way of looking at things. When they like now, I've mentioned to y'all several times. Well, yeah, whatever. Probably shouldn't have said that. I speak to y'all about like I'm not expecting anything in return from you. So when I give you something, whether it's advice, money, time, I'm not expecting anything back from you. When I give people advice, I don't really care whether or not they take it. Honestly, this is just me being honest. This is me being 100% transparent. I don't care whether you. I gave you, whoops, I gave you the best advice I could for the moment, and it's not going to change. So whether you take it or leave it, you asked me a question, I gave you an answer. That's pretty much the end of it for me. However, if you not heeding the advice or even acknowledging the advice leads to you now coming in my presence, and because you didn't take the advice, or because whatever, now it's affecting me what you're doing. I then, this is the part where I said I had to watch myself. Would I wanted something bad to happen to you. I'm going to leave that right where it is. I'm going to say that, and I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to explain it, but I'm going to leave it. The part I had to catch myself, I told y'all, if you have to hit a wall at 300 miles per hour to save your life, I told y'all, I pray that you hit it, and I pray that you hit it hard. This is not the same thing. What I just mentioned when I said I wanted something bad to happen to you, I wanted something bad to happen to you to prove I was right. Because what I said, you gave no value to. What I said, you gave it, you didn't give it the time of day. In literally in one ear, out the other. Don't even acknowledge the fact that I said something to you. Now, I'm big. This is why I'm saying I'm big on the I've been really careful, again, careful about how I say things, but I've been very careful about the Bible verse that says, "Don't cast your pearls amongst swine." Basically saying that one of my quotes, what's up, Rich? One of my quotes is, which is new, if people don't value your time, stop giving them the gift of it. Now, time is relative. It could be physical time, but it's also energy. Time is a resource. That's basically what I'm saying. There's very few things that you give that you cannot get back in the world, and one of those things is time. I'm not saying you can't redeem time, but you don't get it back per se. Like everything I said is now gone. It's now literally history. So I had to watch myself and like bring myself in and correct myself to say that I don't want something bad. Like I had to come up off that basically. I really had to come up off that to say, all right, well, I gave you my advice, you didn't listen. Hope it works out for you. Like in essence, like I don't see that going well. Like in my mind, I'm saying this, but I'm not saying it to you because you're not hearing what I'm saying in the beginning. You're not hearing what I'm saying anyway. So I had to really watch myself. What is my point tying all of this in to say that being a relic, I don't know how many people saw it. I'm just gonna throw this in there because this is gonna just and I'm done with this. I don't know how many people saw it, but when I was playing the division, we ran into in one episode, we ran into two different like one of the recordings that they have where a couple was communicating. I actually, I don't know if you saw it or not. That tears were starting to well up in my eyes because the position of being a relic is taking something that's valuable and putting it in the midst or in the presence of people who don't value it. So now I'll bring into what I the 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 point to that. I saw something on my timeline, and I say my timeline very loosely because I'm not on social media. It was posted yesterday, but I don't know how many people know about Lance Stevenson, retired NBA basketball player, mostly known for his time in Indiana, um, the Hornets, the Lakers, even, um, but mostly the Indiana space. They the post said something like, "Imagine." I don't want to pull it up because it's going to take too much time. Imagine knowing, imagine accomplishing what Lance Stevenson has accomplished and having people treat you like this. And basically, what the clip was, it was a short, like 15-second clip. He's still playing, but like in 3v3 settings and stuff. Like he's still playing to this day. Like he's still in shape playing. And they said this man has made 36 million in NBA salary and having people treat him like this. Basically, somebody hit a game winner. It wasn't a professional game because he had his shirt off while they were playing. The other dude had just like a white short sleeve like this with a hat, like a beanie on. Like it was, but it was on a basketball court indoors, and he hit it, and somebody from the crowd went like this, like towards him, and like they were like acting like they were. My point. That's exactly how I feel. The value that I have is being put into a position or in the presence of people who have no idea what I'm talking about or have no idea how to value it. They were celebrating, jumping up and down like this man's a retired millionaire. And like this is you know what I mean? Like there's no respect for the value that he has. I'm gonna end it there. To say that what you're about to see next, like the next few games, and is an expression of mastering something and then being put in it. Well, this is my finite mind. I'm letting you know right now. I don't have all the answers. I'm not at all saying this is 100% correct. I'm just giving you my point of view. My perspective is very limited. God knows all. God knows why I had to go through what I went through. God knows who I was supposed to meet. God knows why there's realistically nobody here during the last half of my streaming career. God knows all. I'm not questioning that. But there is a reason as to what I mastered at the time that I mastered it in. How that translates to today, I still can't see it. I'm not saying it's not there. I'm just saying I can't see it. You take a sword, like I said, you take a master, you can be the master, you can be the best swordsman in the world. Put them in the middle of war zone. That's not going to go very well. That's what I meant by I said I feel out of place. I mastered things that don't seem to be relevant in today's world, that don't seem to have a place. Things like honor, things like not lying, things like, you know, for those of y'all in the basketball space or 2K space, being a pass first point guard. The game's not set up for that anymore. It's not set up for that anymore. Love him to death. My brother still sends me screenshots with him getting 37 points and 10 assists. I'm like, but anyway, my point is that my point has been made. Not going to repeat myself. What you're about to see is an expression of a passion inside me that I have for things that developed honor, things that had a code, things that had a culture behind it, um, things that didn't compromise. This video is way too long. I did not expect this to go 30 minutes, to be honest. But stream, we have a bunch of stuff to do. Um, YouTube, I appreciate y'all. I hope that this helped somebody. And I hope that this was a good enough introduction into what it is that you're about to see. Y'all have a good day, good night, wherever you happen to be. Whew. Try not to get emotional. I appreciate y'all. I hope I find her, man. Well, not I hope I find her. I can't wait to find her. Anyway, I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good, yeah. Till next time, y'all know the motto. If you're going to do it right. Peace, y'all. Tiger out. Enjoy what it is that you're about to see next. Amen.